So how do we stay consistent when we have ADHD? This is a problem that a lot of us struggle with. And really it boils down to ADHD is a condition of paradoxes. We are the extreme on one end or the extreme on the other, and very little time is actually spent in the middle. It's kind of like one of those giant swinging pendulum blades of death that you would see in a movie like Indiana Jones or something like that. It swings back and forth, and it tends to cut us in the middle, and to either side, that's kind of where it pauses to hang out. Actually, the more I think about that, that's kind of an apt description. Anyway, enough of that rabbit hole. Let's get back to paradoxes. Our brain is interest-based. It doesn't matter how important something is, and it certainly doesn't matter how important something is to someone else. And so to us, we have a very hard time prioritizing because everything feels equally important. And with everything is equally important, what do you do first? Sometimes if there's too many things, we end up doing nothing. So let me share a story. There are certain members of my family, who shall remain nameless, who have a very hard time drinking water. And so how did we get around this? We had to make water interesting. The way we did that was we started buying these cans of sparkling non-sweetened water. As it turns out, they're bitter and kind of disgusting, but they work because the sparklingness and the bitterness provides enough interest to the brain that the brain is like, hey, give me some of that. And now the end result is drinking water for those family members is not a problem. So with the paradoxes of ADHD, we have strengths and we have weaknesses, and we need to lean into our strengths and build support structures for our weaknesses. Another way of looking at it is, let's find ways to work around those weaknesses. And then they aren't as big of a problem. Now, the YouTube self-help bros will tell you, oh, if you've got a weakness, you've got to really dig into it and make it a strength and build all these skills and do better at it. Some things I've heard all my life are, you just need to try harder, or go eat the frog, which is kind of a weird thing to say to someone. I guess it comes from a quote. Maybe it's Mark Twain. I don't know. Something about eat a frog first thing in the morning and the rest of your day is easy. And while that might be a little bit profound, and it kind of makes sense, do the hard thing first and then everything else the rest of the day is not hard. The problem is when you translate that over to an ADHD brain, what it turns into is do nothing all day. And I guess doing nothing all day is a form of consistency. At least you're being consistently doing nothing. But I'm pretty sure that's not what you want to hear having clicked on this video. You probably want to hear how to do stuff and be consistent doing those things, not how to be consistent doing nothing. Although that does sound kind of nice. And yet another paradox of ADHD is I don't know how to do nothing. My brain is too active, I'm physically too active, I literally cannot do nothing. So instead of eating the frog, better advice is, at least for those of us with ADHD, eat the ice cream first. Because if you eat the ice cream first, you're having fun, and that breaks over that wall of awful, that initial barrier to get things going. And then doing other stuff is a lot easier. And that brings us full circle to our can of sparkling unsweetened water. The solution to being consistent with ADHD is interest. Where does the interest for your brain lie? And this has to be genuine interest. You can't fake it. And you can't convince your brain that you're interested in something that you're not. Now, there's techniques and things that you can do to make your brain interested in something. For example, NICU, Novelty, Interest, Challenge, and Urgency. You can use those things in order to create interest in something. And that's something we've talked about in previous videos and we'll talk about again. But really, if you are interested in something, the consistency takes care of itself. Let me give you two examples. The first one, taxes. I am very not interested in doing taxes. They're a pain in the butt, they take a long time, there's no interest there. And so doing taxes is something that I put off, at least until I can manufacture a sense of urgency, when taxes are due, and then I can create enough interest to actually do the taxes. However, a better way to do this is, remember, around our weaknesses, build support. I can hire someone to do my taxes. And then I never have to worry about it. I don't have to do it. I'm not bored out of my mind. This is the sparkling water solution. And then I don't have to worry about being consistent with doing taxes or making myself do taxes or the barrier to entry or task initiation with taxes. Blah. Second example, I really like martial arts, specifically Taekwondo. And so for me, going to Taekwondo class is not hard. I enjoy it, I want to go, and so I am extremely consistent with going. And when you are consistent with doing something, that's how you win. It's not natural talent. Yes, there's a bit of work in there, but it's the people who show up over and over and over again. That's how you are successful. And I'm consistent enough with Taekwondo that before I realized it, they were giving me a 4th black belt. Consistency for us is not a problem. We just have to be interested in the thing that we're doing, and then the consistency will take care of itself. So the big takeaway here is don't eat frogs. Frogs are gross. Leave that to the French. In fact, hire a French person to eat frogs for you. And instead, go eat ice cream. And you will find that you are very consistent eating ice cream, and before you know it, you will be highly successful and weigh like 700 pounds. But in a good way. I guess a better way to say that would be we would be very consistent and very good in the things that we enjoy doing. And that, my friends, is how you stay very consistent with ADHD with very little to no effort. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I appreciate you. And I look forward to the next one where we don't eat frogs and we engineer the crap out of ADHD.